before I discovered like, you know, more like niche YouTube stuff that I like more. I would actually, when I watch news, I would watch, you know, a fair amount of like MSNBC, thinking like, okay, these are the like, you know, more liberal people, which they are. But then you realize, oh, wait, every commercial is like a pharmacy commercial,
Yeah.
and these guys are all bought and paid for too.
Yeah.
And they really just want corporate Democrats in the office. They don't. They're never gonna like, you know, push a Bernie Sanders type.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, geez.
Yeah, to me, a corporate Democrat, a Republican, they're the same thing, man.
They really are.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the Democrat's probably going to be a little better on social issues.
He'll say the right things.
Right.
But then once he gets elected, that same rich person's going to be funding them as, you know, they're funding anybody else. So they're bought and paid for. They're going to say whatever somebody else wants them to say.
It's so disappointing that there's never, like, anytime there is like a progressive Democrat, they're either like, I mean, I like Bernie, but you know, just like Biden, he's getting up there in age, and like, I don't think he's necessarily as charismatic as you'd maybe want him to be for like, and then like this year, like they're running like that Marianne Williamson, and like.
Wait, who's running her?
Well, she's running as like a more progressive candidate. I think she's going to try to like challenge Biden.
Oh, God.
But like the thing with her is like, yeah, like on policy wise, like I probably agree with her on quite a bit, you know? But it's like I see her like debate and stuff, and she's all about this like, oh, hippy dippy, like the power of love is going to win the day kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's never going to win people over.
No, it's not.
It's just not. I'm sorry. Like, I would prefer her over Biden, but I can't see her even standing a chance.
I had heard something about her last time when she was like running or something. I don't know what it was, but she's got some sellout qualities to her too.
Does she?
Yeah. I think something about her backers or something. I mean, they've all got these backers who are just, they got their own self-interest, and they're just parroting whatever they want them to say, man. At the end of the day, when they get into office, they're going to do what that billionaire wants them to do.
Yeah. Do you think Bernie Sanders would have been that way if he did win?
I think he had a better shot at like standing up for himself and doing more what he believed is right.
But look at him. Like, he was doing so good up until like, because like I think, what did they do? Like, I forget what it is. Vermont. And then, or no, Iowa, is it Iowa, New Hampshire? Like you know how they do those states?
Yeah, the primaries.
Like, I think he did very well in those ones. And then South Carolina came along, and that's when all the other, like, corporate Democrats, like, banded together.
Yeah.
And even the DNC, like, did everything they could to screw him over. And, of course, it worked.
Yeah.
And we got stuck with Biden.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I have my conspiracy theories. Like the whole Southern strategy, like the Republicans, like Democrats, like switched and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if the Democrats ever really switched over. I think they were always like, we'll just pretend to be like more progressive, just for the money, and you know, that's pretty much. We'll just keep doing the same thing we've been doing because they haven't really. Every time they have power, they don't do anything. They don't change anything.
No, and the thing is like a lot of things, because like with the way Congress in this country works, like it's so hard to get any new law passed. So like the most radical change a president can do is through executive action, executive orders. And honestly, I just want a president that will actually do that.
Yeah.
Like Biden could do like so many things through executive orders. You know, he could forgive student loans. He could essentially make marijuana legal by like, because he can change. I think he can change like what it's classified as is like, you know how they be like, this is a schedule whatever drug. I think he can somehow through executive order like bring that down to essentially make it legal. You know, so there's a lot of things that can be done through executive action, and like. I get the whole like, oh, we want to do this the right way and come to a compromise and do it through Congress. And I'm just like, I'm so like over that.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You just look at some of these things and you're like, it's never going to happen.
I think it's all just lies, man. They just say, "Oh, we're taking the high road." It's more like we're not going to do anything. You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just look at the structure of how our government works, and I know people like to like really like blow the founders and be like, "Oh, this is so good," and I'm like, and to be fair, like I know the founders thought by like making the Constitution amendable, like that was gonna be like, oh, that'll make it so we're always like up to date and stuff, but they could have never really forecasted that things would be so hard to change,
Yeah.
and so they tried, but I think we can say that it didn't work.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough because when I think about like, it just seems like we're doomed because the only way to change things would to be, make it straight up illegal for any corporate money to go into candidates.
Yeah.
And the only way that can happen is by people in the positions of power changing the laws to not benefit themselves.
Exactly.
And so, like, it's no, so like, I'm really thinking like, if your country in its founding doesn't have, just baked into it, very strict, unchangeable laws that it's impossible to give corporate money to candidates, like you're screwed.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Like they taught us in college, like that corporations are becoming the new countries. That was like 10 years ago when I was in college, and they were like, countries are going to lose power. It's going to be corporations that become like the new, like the new foundation of society. And I was like, that sucks. Back then I was like, that's horrible. That's a terrible thing because corporations don't have anybody's interest in mind. But they would teach it like they did, oh, well, corporations are a part of your community, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, what? Like, corporations have been part of many communities, and you know what they do to them? Like, they bleed them dry. They make those communities rely on them, and they just charge them for rent and everything, and they end up, like, using them as slaves. But, yeah, it's scary, man. And people are buying into it. I don't know. Like, look, Lauren Boebert, I heard, she went from, like, being broke. After 2 years in Congress, she's worth like over $40 million, I think.
Jeez.
It's just, that's how it is. It's a cash grab. They go in there, they make their money, they get out. That's politics.